If someone, your boss disrespects you, you're like, how dare you say I didn't do a good job? Then you get upset and then you're offended. And that offense will cause you to act a certain way. Maybe seek revenge, not think of that person the same way, maybe break up relationships. And that's where the beta Satan comes in, because that whole feeling of offense leads into a whole another host of things.
You see this all the time. You might not even been talking about you don't like my shirt. You just said you don't like gray. I'm wearing gray. So now I feel like you've offended me.
You're talking about
You're talking about me.
Yeah.
Right. I feel disrespected. So now guess what? I don't like your face. I don't like your shoes. I don't like your
Nothing about you.
I don't like nothing about you.
Matter of fact, you need to leave.
Right.
What's the root of that?
One person was offended.
Exactly. The bait of Satan.
The bait of Satan. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Today for Tomorrow podcast. My name is Martel.
I'm Pastor Rod.
And look, so today, I'm offended.
Wait a minute. I was offended before you was offended.
Okay. Well, obviously that's going to be the topic of today's episode.
Yes.
Well, first off, let's just backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
You introduced a book to me called The Bait of Satan.
Yes.
Bait of Satan, yeah. And it talked about offense. Originally, when you brought it up, you were, I forgot, I said something, and then you were like, ooh, you should read this book.
Yes, I remember, and not to get off into what you said or what we were talking about, but something kind of rubbed you the wrong way. Okay, and you're pretty mild-mannered. You wasn't like ready to go down, knock down some buildings, but you were a little perturbed, I guess is the word.
Okay.
And it just triggered the fact because the bait of Satan, which, I mean, it changed my life. I mean, when I read it, because it showed me how
It changed his life.
it did. Because it showed me the power of offense. You know, at least I'm gonna speak to myself, okay? When I got upset and I would direct that anger to someone else, I was angry because they offended me. Because they did something that felt like they disrespected me. Now, I don't care how I masked it. It was rooted in the fact that I felt offended. It's like when you go, even at work, if someone, your boss disrespects you, you're like, how dare you say I didn't do a good job? How dare you say that? Then you get upset and then you're offended.
Right.
And that offense will cause you to act a certain way. Maybe seek revenge, maybe not think of that person the same way, maybe break up relationships. And that's where the bait of Satan comes in, because that whole feeling of offense leads into a whole another host of things.
I mean, shoot, like, I mean, quite literally, our life is made up of how we act and react.
Yeah.
And so, like, being offended automatically causes you to do something that I guess, supports that.
Yeah, it does.
So, and when we had that conversation, I'm like, well, I'm not really a person who gets offended. That's because what I was saying, because, well, I'll go into that in a second.
Okay.
But one thing that I've definitely noticed when you brought it up is, like, and I've talked about this before, but like when I had one school year at a school called Harrison High School. This was my sophomore year. And it was all the issues with like the African American community just seemed to be personified in the individuals that lived or that went to this school.
So you saw it all, right?
I saw it all, like all of it.
So
like,
what's on TV what is true is what you're saying.
No, this place is like every stereotype, every like the reason that any like person would be afraid of a black person, it was at this school.
Right there.
This was it. This was the place.
Okay.
It was ridiculous. It was straight out of like a cartoon or something.
Oh, man.
But the biggest thing, and I think this is across the board, this goes beyond just Harrison High School, but just in general, black people, when we get offended, when we feel disrespected, it's like you see this all the time. Everybody has to one up somebody else. Like if you tell me something about my shirt, you say I don't like gray. You might not even been talking about you don't like my shirt. You just said you don't like gray. I'm wearing gray. So now I feel like you've offended me.
You're talking about
You're talking
me,
about me.
me, yeah.
Right. I feel disrespected. So now guess what? I don't like your face. I don't like your shoes. I don't like your
Nothing about you.
I don't like nothing about you.
Matter of fact, you need to leave.
Right. And then you get these battles in the middle of the hallway with everybody surrounded. One person talking about the next person, the other person talking about this person. You broke, you stank, you ugly, your teeth broke crooked. Yeah, your family is all kinds of stuff.
They got to come out. And what's the root of that?
If one person was offended.
Exactly. and I mean, and it's amazing once you realize that, because man,
Domino.
It is a domino effect. And that's why that book, it appropriately titled, The Bait of Satan.
The Bait of Satan.
Yeah, because once you're like, oh, I got to respond. And then sometimes even that response, I remember growing up, you know, and I'm not sure if this happened where you were in Harrison, but, you know, it would be one of those situations where someone do something or whatever, and you feel like you
Somebody stepped on your shoes.
Stepping on your shoes. I think the same thing. But anyway, and you're like, man, what's going on? What you stepping on my shoes for? Then the person come back to you because they're like, wait a minute, you know, I didn't mean to step on your shoe.
I didn't mean to step on your shoe. It was a complete accident.
No, they're offended. So now they come back, and then we both standing there trying to save face, and guess what? It turns to a fight then.
Yep, because somebody over there is watching.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh, I can't be embarrassed in front of this person.
Exactly.
That person probably don't care, wasn't thinking anything about it. They were heading somewhere.
No, they don't care if you win or lose a fight.
They really don't care.
No, but in your mind, because
they see you getting upset, they're like, "Oh, I gotta stay here and watch it now."
Yes. You know, and you gotta defend your honor.
Oh, is Rodney gonna be? Wait a minute.
What's going to happen now? And then it becomes a show.
Exactly.
And I mean,
we're a bunch of monkeys.
Yeah. And I tell you, you know, I know we talked about Harrison, but I mean, it's you can track it. And I think about it when after reading that book, it made me self-examine, right? So when I would get upset, I'm like, okay, why are you getting upset? What's causing me to get upset? I'm getting upset because I felt that person disrespected me. That's even when I don't think that's the case. And even in a relationship, like, you know, my wife and I have been married 22 years, love her to death, and we get along great. And we don't have, I can't say we ever had what I call a shouting match type argument. We haven't. But sometimes something will happen, and I might get rubbed the wrong way. And I have to examine why am I upset.
Why am I upset?
Yeah, and then it's like
that's a question people don't ask. They just are upset and they
react. Yeah,
they react. But it's like that. Just having that self-control to just sit and think. Okay, I feel upset. What is the root of this me being upset, and what am I going to do about it?
Exactly.
What's a right decision with this?
But you know what? That one thing about that book and what I found out, it really starts with me, and it's a choice. I can choose to let myself feel that way, or I can move forward and be like, it ain't no big deal.
Yeah, that's really it.
It's that simple. It's really that simple.
Look, for me, and now I'll go back to what I was talking about earlier, and maybe this comes from being the middle child. I don't know, but I learned that lesson. I learned that lesson pretty early on because it was like, in elementary school, middle school, I'm a react. Period. Like if something happens, I'm just upset and I'm doing something about it. Okay.
All right.
But then it was like, okay, now I don't want to do this because it's gonna do this to this person, or I don't want to do this because then they're gonna be upset, and then I can't just be upset and go throw this because then it'll be broken.
So you think about consequences.
I'm thinking about all kinds of consequences, but then continuously stopping and having another thought gave me more self-control so that I could just do that across the board, so that when we get to high school, Harrison, someone can step on the shoe and I'm like, oh shoot, and then they say, oh, I'm sorry. We can keep moving. Yeah. We have nothing else to talk about.
No. It's past. Okay, time to go.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to save face in front of this person. I don't care about this instigator.
So that journey though, you talked about middle school and you talked about Harrison, how you dealt with it. So give me a little more meat about how you process that, right? You know, when you thought about the consequences. Now, that shoe example, is that a consequence you thinking about? The consequences, like, it ain't worth having an argument. Take me through your mind as far as when it happens. How do you, Martell, respond to that situation? I mean, in your mind, what are you processing?
In my antisocialness,
I would never call you antisocial, but go ahead.
In elementary, middle school, I spent ridiculous amounts of time alone.
Okay.
Just straight up alone. And during that year at Harrison.
Okay.
So I was a lot of the time I was just sitting with my thoughts.
Okay.
So when something like this would happen, you immediately you feel like, you even feel in your body a little bit. It's like you feel like you should react.
Yes, you feel like a ball.
You feel tense,
yes.
But then when you just stop, and this is definitely a superpower. This is definitely a superpower.
I agree.
Because you can apply the same thing to if you stub your toe. You have to choose to scream.
Yes.
It's a decision.
You're right.
So someone steps on my shoe. Okay. All right. Oh man. I look down at the shoe. Maybe there's a scuff on it or something. Okay. I wipe it off. I look. I then come back to, okay, what was I doing before this happened? What is their intention with this? Was this on purpose? Is this, do I have to do something about this
situation? Is it more to this?
Right. Is there more to this? Oh no, I see that. Okay, no, this was an accident.
Yeah.
It was just an honest mistake. We were actually close in this walkway, so they ended up stepping on my shoe. Okay, we can move forward. And then now that I've figured out what their intention is, now I figure out where I am and these emotions. Okay, and if I still feel something after this, then I have to figure out, okay, if it wasn't them and they're not trying to do anything to me, now why am I still feeling this way? Because it can't possibly mean that I need to fight this person.
No.
It's got to be something else.
Yeah.
So I'm going to break that down, but I'm not going to react on that. I'm going to figure it out first and then continue on with what I was doing until that.
So you're going to do this. Now, all that you just said, you did like
this. Don't get me wrong.
You're not sitting there taking notes, say, hey, okay.
Like, okay, wait a minute. Wait. Don't move. You come right back here.
CSI, let's recount what happened here. So, but that goes back to making a conscious decision. Yeah, it is. Man, and I think that's really what it comes down to is we as humans, let's talk about it, tend to react very quickly off emotion.
Definitely.
And offense is one that triggers like a reaction, like a reflex almost, like a knee jerk.
Have you ever been like, so this actually happened the other day. I was late. And I was late and then the person told me I was late. And then I felt immediately upset that I was late because they told me that I was late.
Yeah.
And so it was like, that was like a perfect example of, okay, now I just got to sit with these thoughts because I'm upset, but it doesn't make sense to, just throw shade at them all of a sudden. I was late. I know I'm late.
But what made you feel that way? Is it how they said it? Or is it because you felt like they didn't understand what caused you to be late?
They don't understand what caused me to be late. They don't understand any of the context of it. They just know, hey, you late.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
But from their lens, man, let's examine that for a minute because what you said, I think a lot of times is what can lead to feeling exactly like you did. Because let's say you breaking your neck to get this appointment and you run into an accident, traffic, all these different things just got in the way.
Yeah.
And you're trying to get there and you're rushing. And I'm saying I've been in this situation before too. And you get there and you're late, like you said. And the person like just kind of gives you that tone like,
come on now,
hey,
really?
You late, yeah. And you're like, man, you don't know what I've been through.
You don't know.
And that right there leads you to be like, you don't care about me. You don't care about what I just had to go through.
Every thought after that is only made up in your head.
Yes.
Like everything else is an assumption.
Yes.
Because what really happened was all they said was you're late.
Yes.
You don't know what they were thinking. You don't know if they hate you. You don't know if they're trying to get at you. You don't know any of that. Everything else is just you making up fantasies in your head about them.
So maybe the issue is that, and I'm not saying for you, I'm saying for anyone in that situation, is that the person who stating the obvious is not the issue. Is that you feel like, wait a minute, you're not even taking the time to understand what I had to go through. So it becomes self and personal, where you, to your point, all that stuff is working in your head. Like, you don't know what I just been through. So your mood is in a wrong place anyway. So you're just ready to unleash on somebody.
You don't know what I just did. You don't know what I've been through.
Yeah.
You don't care.
You don't care. Yeah. You know yourself. You turn all that back. And hey, we're gonna keep saying it, but that's that debate, that offense. That's why it's such.
Right. Then you get that whisper of like, you should throw shade.
Yeah.
You should get back. They were late before too.
You shouldn't take that.
You shouldn't take that.
No. How many times you been on time and that person's been late?
Exactly. You just gonna let them say that to you, and you're just gonna walk away.
Yeah. And like I never said that when they were late before.
It reminds me of like the devil on the shoulder thing.
Yeah.
Just talking like,
exactly.
You should punch him in the nose.
Do it. Do it. You can do it. Man, I don't know why the Eminem video came in my head with Dr. Dre.
Oh, which one?
The one where it was one of the early videos where Dr. Dre was telling him no, Dr. Dre was a good one. Eminem was the bad one, and the guy was messing around. Found his wife messing around, and Eminem like, go ahead, do this. And he played the devil, and Dre played the other side.
Oof.
Forgive me, I don't know why I digressed there. And since Martell didn't remember the song, it just blew it all away. But anyway, but you're right. It is like you got this angel and this little devil on your shoulder. And the question is, which one do you listen to?
The Holy Spirit is saying, look, self-control, keep moving.
Yes.
It's all right.
Take a breath. You know, and I heard this. I don't know if you ever heard this before. You used to always hear like, when you get angry, take a deep breath.
Yep.
And somebody explained this to me, and I don't know if this is scientific or not, so don't take it. But it makes sense to me. If you notice when people get upset, they start to take shallow breaths. You get tense. Your breathing changes. Watch somebody when they get upset. And you start to limit the oxygen to go to your brain. Now, this is what somebody told me. And I was like, got a point there. Which will cloud your thinking. And they said, take a deep breath, just to pause. Yeah. And just take some oxygen in.
No, yeah. Have you ever, now this is really, now the pieces are starting to come together of how I actually got to that point.
Okay.
Have you ever been put in the headlock?
Yeah, I used to wrestle.
And you had to figure out how to get out of it?
Yep.
You can't win a fight going crazy.
No.
You have to stop and think.
You do.
That's the only way.
You're right.
I was put in a few headlocks.
so you
I was always the little cousin.
So you're like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna have to outthink this.
Oh yeah, I've always had to outthink it. Like it's like, you know, and I wasn't in wrestling, but I tried it out. You know, I went on, you know, to a practice or two, and then, you know, you might be in some position and you're in pain, but what I found out. Pro tip for all the little brothers, little cousins,
picked up by your big brother.
little cousins out there. Look, if you look like you're hurt, if you look like you're in pain, then they'll keep going. If you don't show it on your face, I also learned this from sports too. Okay. If you don't show the pain on your face, if you don't react to it, then you can continue on. You can think about how you can get out, and they're gonna ease up.
So that showing the pain is almost like a concession.
Oh yeah.
Like crying uncle almost.
I remember I think I learned this in football practice. It was like, if you when you hunch over, we're doing more laps. We doing more laps down this field.
Because you need more exercise.
Right. If you take a knee, if you sit down, if you look overly tired, if you're taking deep breaths real loud, just know that we all gonna keep working. So you we might have just done 100 laps, but you better stand up strong.
All right. Interesting. Now that I can see that. And I guess when we talk about, you know, kind of thinking things through, control, because it comes down to controlling the person in the mirror.
Yes, 100%.
Having the mindset to understand that, okay, don't let your emotions, don't let the situation control you. You got to think about what you're doing.
Definitely.
And I think what you just talked about was that, you know, being in the headlock. It's like if you flailing, like you said, it's gonna get tighter, and you're gonna get weaker. Versus you figuring out, okay, let me stop and not like you're stopping for an hour. You just trying to figure this out.
You think like, oh, there's an opening right here.
Exactly.
You will never see the opening if you just flailing and reacting.
No. Because you gotta, and this we're talking about wrestling for a minute. One thing about wrestling, when you wrestle, you can feel someone shifting their weight and their movement, and it can be ever so subtle.
Yeah.
And you can feel a person get off balance, but it's a hair, right? And when you feel that open, you go for it. And the same thing, and you don't always get out, you don't always get it, but you can't be crazy with it. Otherwise, you don't feel it. You don't feel that other person's shift.
Yeah. So if someone says, I don't like gray, you gotta feel the shift here.
Yeah.
Is there actually a shift? Is there an open? Is he really about to try to flip you? What?
Or not.
Or not.
Or you just ask the question, okay. Why don't you like the color gray?
I don't even care. See, that's the...
Well, see, you and I, we're different that way. I love to ask questions. I love to probe.
Mm-hmm. Got you.
And I believe I call it mental judo, right? And it's like sometimes when people want to pick at you, because I remember working at one location I was at, and this guy loved to argue. He just fed on it, you know what I mean? It was like his drug. So if he could get you...
There's a verse in Proverbs about this kind of person. But
and it is. And actually, it's funny you say that, because I think one proverb verse talk about if you argue with a fool, the person that comes up don't know which one's the fool. They don't.
They look the same.
Yep, they both look the same. So this guy, finally when I figured out, and this is right, I read the book, so I was ready.
He was armed.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there, I'm like, he would just go off, and the louder he talked.
Rodney, you said.
But the louder he talked, the softer I talked. He's like, he would get louder. I'd be like, what's the problem? And then one day I was like, I said, dude, I am really concerned about you. Your veins are popping out of your neck. I do not want you to have a heart attack. And he went ballistic. But the point I'm getting at is that thing about the headlock. If I kept arguing with him, I would lose every time.
Every time. Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't get away. After that, treating him the way I did, he wouldn't come argue with me no more.
There are people who just live off of getting other people upset.
You're right. That's true. like I said, it's like a drug to them.
Yeah.
But I think it's a power tip, too. Why do you think it happens, though? Why do you think people won't?
Well, look, I'm going to go back to that experience at Harrison. One thing that you would see every single time, somebody says something to somebody about their clothes, about what they're wearing, about their hairstyle, whatever, and they're trying to get this reaction out of this other person. And so if that person then turns around and gives them that reaction, now we got a show. Now we got a battle.
That's that flailing thing.
That's
right?
the flailing.
Yeah.
They flailing. They just shooting at the wall because now they have to go look back at you, find something that they possibly could talk about, and now they're trying to put it into a joke form so that the other people can laugh, and they're trying to impress these people around him. And it's for what?
Yeah. And sometimes it's a defense mechanism too. I mean, most of the time it is a defense mechanism because there are those individuals in that case where, and I remember hearing a guy share a story where. Basically, growing up, he didn't have a lot, right? So he got talked about, and he didn't want, of course, embarrassed. Well, he learned how to slice people up like a Ginsu knife. I mean, he would just, if you came at him, he would slice them up, and that was his defense mechanism for people not to talk about him. But it goes back to the defense thing. He felt offended. He felt the only way he could defend himself and prevent people from coming at him that way is to be even harsher. And I think that goes what you were sharing and why people kind of get in these like, well, I got to fight because I need to, shut you up for next time.
I got to shut you up for next time. Yeah. One thing that I've noticed is it's always, if you watch any movie about there's a hero, there's a villain, look at any sort of battle between two individuals. The one with more self-control, the one that is calmer, will win. Look at boxing. Everybody likes to talk about Mayweather.
Okay.
They're like, oh man, he could never beat Muhammad Ali. He would never be even hang with them dudes back then. I don't know. He ain't the best. He ain't the best right now. What are you talking about? But it's like, homie, if you just calm down, he's a technician.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. He gets in the ring to win. He doesn't care about what you think about how he did it.
How cute it looks.
How cute it looks. He doesn't care about all the extra moves and everything.
No.
He about to just get these punches in. He knows it's gonna run up the points. He's trying to score, and he's not coming for the haymaker every time because that looks good.
Yeah.
But he want to win. He want to get this money and keep moving, keep his record clean.
And he knows how to win.
He knows how to win. So look, he's gonna go ahead and hit you. He's gonna hit you again. He's gonna keep racking up these points. Now you're getting upset because he done racked up 25 points just off a jab.
Now you gotta get desperate.
Now you're like, oh, all right, boom, boom. And then everybody just starts draining all their energy.
Yeah.
Now they trying to fight back, and he's still gonna win the fight.
Well, it's just, in going back a little early, like Muhammad Ali. And it's today for tomorrow, so you talk tomorrow.
Mayweather.
I'm talking today. Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, all right.
So but in a way, the same thing. Muhammad Ali, he fought George Foreman, which years ago, and George Foreman was a beast. Okay, he was like, I always talk about the Rocky movies, but he was that indestructible, like Drago almost in the Rocky movies. So Muhammad Ali had a strategy, because George Foreman had never went really deep into fights because he knocked guys out.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this guy work. So he developed the rope-a-dope and all that. But to your point, he was all about winning the fight. It wasn't about being cute with it. It wasn't about trying to prove that he could knock this guy out. It was about
belt.
this is what's gonna work. And that thinking process, I think it takes more intelligence and more discipline to think through a problem or a situation versus just reacting to it without thinking.
That's why I think it's, and I call it a superpower. I truly believe that it is a superpower, and I think that, like, if you've been in a sports or played or competed at a high level, then you're better suited to be successful in any other area, because you just have to learn that control. Like you're not gonna max out and then increase that max and then continue to level up on yourself if you don't have enough control to be, at a pressure point and push through it.
But that's the key. I like that analogy, because in sports is good in that respect, because like you said, you hit walls in sports.
Definitely.
And you get to points where you really get broken down, where you like either weak or tired or fatigued or hurt, and you got to make a choice whether you're going to keep playing or not, or you're going to push through it. And that's where the mental, you make a decision. And when you push through it, now it's like, oh, now you grow stronger, right? Now you get some new tools. Like you said, it's superpower. It kicks in, and then in life, when you hit those walls, that comes right back. Like, okay, I'm not quitting.
Right.
Let's figure this out.
Exactly.
Let's figure this out.
Yeah. You're not about to make me quit on this.
No. Okay, and then understand. Okay, how do I win? What's my pathway to victory in this situation? And if I don't win, how do I not put myself in that situation again, or how do I win the next time?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And look, we kingdom citizens here. We was built with a spirit of self-control.
Yeah.
It's in us. So if you acting without it, then you're not acting how you were designed to act.
And the other part too, I'm glad you went there, because that's really the foundation of where we are. The Holy Spirit, really. When we talk about those two people, we're talking about listening to the Holy Spirit, and being a kingdom citizen means that, hey, first we accepted Christ, 2, we invited the Holy Spirit to live in us, which is God. So you cannot be a citizen unless you got the passport, right? You can't be a citizen unless you kind of accepted citizenship and been invited into the kingdom. And we need to listen.
Yeah.
We need to listen. And I think that's that whole stopping and pausing, like you talked about with the shoe and all that. That's when the Holy Spirit's speaking to you.
Definitely.
Telling you, hey, chill.
You don't need to do nothing there.
No.
Keep moving.
Yep.
Your shoe is fine.
Yep.
You can get another shoe.
Exactly. And now I would say this too. Now, one thing, before I knew God growing up, sometimes my reaction was dictated upon how big that individual was that stepped on my shoe. But so common sense played a part. But all jokes aside, it is about the Spirit. The Spirit has to speak to you. And if you don't know God and you don't have the Holy Spirit in you, you are going to react based on what the world. Yeah.
And like we we've talked about this before, we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to be set apart.
Yep.
And so if the world is, okay, you have offended me, you disrespected me, now I have to disrespect you in a
Yes.
greater way.
Yep.
As kingdom citizens, we take all of this. We grow wiser from it.
We do, and we're looking to grow the kingdom, which means that we have to act a certain way to invite other people to have interest in the kingdom.
And our lifestyle is supposed to look different.
It is.
We like you were just talking about the Proverbs with the two fools looking, both arguing with each other. We don't know. No one knows the difference. You might have been in church your whole life. That other person might not have been.
Exactly.
But you look the same if y'all both arguing.
Yes. And how do you invite somebody into the kingdom that way? Because they're like, well, you say you this, but I'm
You
looking
just went
at you.
toe to toe with homie yesterday. What
Exactly.
do you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You yelling and cussing at everybody.
It's
You
hard for
always
me-
going off.
Exactly. What's up with you? But,
Exactly.
But yeah, and that superpower piece, I like that because it's not natural. I guess is what I'm getting at.
It's
something-
exactly. It's not natural. Naturally in the flesh, you want to pop off. Somebody cuts you off, you want to be upset about it.
Yes.
They overcook your meal. You want to go throw it back into the kitchen.
Yes, yes. And and we're sitting here. Just understand this, everybody. Martell and I are not perfect. We have our days. So but the point I guess we're trying to make here is that, and I'll use myself as an example. There are times, and I use driving as an example. I have been cut off before.
Uh-oh. Wait a minute.
Full disclosure, and before I knew it, I'm like, and Sharon like, Rodney, and she has to kind of calm me down. And afterwards, I'm like, okay, I was wrong. Lord, forgive me, help me out. But the trigger, knowing the trigger, but the next time it happened, yeah, I would get upset a little bit, but I was not take it to that level. So it had to get to the point where it's like, hey, I don't know where they're going. Maybe they're heading to the hospital. It just
She was pregnant.
whatever. Yeah, whatever.
She
it
was
is.
pregnant in the passenger seat.
But it goes back to being, hey, that car cut me off. That they disrespected me in some kind of way. They don't care. They almost made me had an accident. I mean, it always comes back to me in the offense, and I'm like, okay, that's where we have to guard ourselves. No way to do that without the Holy Spirit in us.
Definitely. So today, we take that deep breath.
Yes.
We something happens. We take a second to breathe and think before we react. We don't just act, because that first thought most likely won't be a good one.
No, it's not. It's not.
So we take a second, listen to what the Holy Spirit is saying about the situation, and then we act accordingly. What's gonna show love and represent the kingdom in the best light,
Yes.
so that tomorrow we act different, we look different, we live different, we different,
Yes, we are.
and we represent the kingdom better.
And it's okay, and we want to be different. Because I don't want to look like the world.
No.
I don't. The world's ugly. I mean, it is. I'm not saying you're ugly. I said the world's ugly. The world. But no, it is ugly. I mean, ugly from the standpoint that it doesn't care about others.
It's tough. It's like the jungle.
It is. It really is. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it's all about, hey, okay, I'm going to get what I want. And if you're in my way or you offend me, I'm going to put you in your place. That's
Exactly. The more we separate ourselves from just acting on our base instincts, the more we become godlike.
yes. Because think about Jesus. Jesus loved, but he wasn't a punk. Jesus, when he turned the tables on all that, but it was righteous anger, but it wasn't. It was because
It wasn't out of control.
It wasn't out of control. No. So I guess there is such a thing as righteous anger, but it's not anger that's directed to hurt people. It's a godly thing, and it's not something I don't know if we're even capable of in some respects. To be honest with you, I don't think because
I think it's rooted in how we react to certain things. Because
Yes.
you were telling me the other day about
yes.
something that happened that very hurtful to someone else. But then in that one instant made me think of like all people, like how this could happen to anybody, and it makes me upset. It makes me upset. I'm not about to go find someone who posted something that made them think this
Yeah,
and go
good-
shoot
good
them.
example,
No,
yes.
but it makes me think about, okay, what can I do to solve this problem? Like what
Good point.
capabilities do I have? What scriptures can I use? What can
Yes,
I do to make sure that this don't happen?
That's an excellent point. And just for everybody to understand what we're talking about here is like when things happen in the world, a good example is if we see someone, a young person that's shot for no reason, a baby sitting in a car,
Yep.
That brings anger because the societal things, what brought that on, what's causing that, and like, okay, what can we do or should be doing to help prevent it from happening?
Exactly, and we don't automatically see it as, oh, well, the father he left when she was 3, so it had to be his fault, or the mother she was on drugs, so it was her fault.
That's exactly what we do too. Isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't say we, but that's exactly how people they want to point. But instead of looking at like talking about the kingdom again, if we're working to make sure that God is in us, and then we spread the word, the more we do that, the more you have people who think differently.
Yeah.
The more families are brought together and have a stronger foundation, and the need for those things go away. We're not going to change the world tomorrow, but we can change the world we live in if we just try. So, yeah, I'm glad you gave that example. That's a righteous anger.
There we go.
Yep.
People, that is the Today for Tomorrow podcast. We appreciate you for being here. Again, my name is Martel.
I'm Pastor Rod.
And we hope to see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.